Today I'm going to give a tutorial on one of the most requested topics probably around the OPZ in general, and that's sampling or internal sampling, because I've covered sampling before. I've got some free sample packs made specifically for the OPZ available, which I can link in the description. But this time I wanted to try doing no computer whatsoever. You'll see here that I have my USB-C plugged in, but that's purely just to get audio out to monitor this session for the video. You don't need a computer, you don't need Ableton or anything like that. You can use the internal microphone here on the OPZ, but what I'm going to use today is the M1 personal monitor headphones from Teenage Engineering. Now, full disclosure, they were sent to me by Teenage Engineering, but they don't have any say whatsoever in what I say in this video. I think they sound and look pretty good, but rather than try and give you the sales pitch, which I don't want or need to do, I'm just gonna show you how you could use them in building a session, and I'll break it up into 3 parts. Which would be using it for percussive sampling, using it for chromatic or melodic sampling, and then also covering a little bit of how to put effects and monitor and mix a live input like the microphone from this, which is really easy now since one of the recent updates for this like module page and the UI, but I'll get back to that later. But just in case you see me hopping in and out of this page, it's mostly just for management of the audio for the voiceover for the tutorial. I have a backing track here. I've just made something really simple. And that's a kind of base for us to start, and then we can introduce some internal sampling to get a little bit of custom sound design going on. All right, let's start by going to one of these sample pages. I think this is called the sample or FX track. And what we want to do is by going track and looking at the item we're on, either update the current one or go to a different one. And what we can do there is go into sample mode straight away. So like I said, I'm gonna have to hop in and out a little bit. Turn off my effects and my LFO before I turn on my headset. So you can do that also by shift, and 1 or 2 will activate the different inputs. You also have USB on 3 if you wanted to do that. But let's focus on the headset now. And we'll go back to this sample track. And while we're in this one here, what we can do is go stop, record, and we've entered the sample mode. So what we're seeing here is actually a waveform that the individual drum items are built, and that's including the stock drums there, taking an individual waveform and cutting it up into a lot of small pieces. So what we could do, it's as easy as hitting record. I'm going to make a bunch of really embarrassing, stupid noises, but it's just going to give something straight out of this boom mic that we can work with. Hey, ooh, hey, hey. Hey. Hey, ooh. Yeah, and in case it's not clear, what you can actually do is from the green and the blue, you can change the ins and the outs of where the sample comes in, and the yellow is the pitch, including fine tuning, and you've also got a gain setting there. So if you hit stop to come out, you can add a bunch of effects, and basically that layering will make it much more interesting. So one of the first things you can do is just add some send effects. So that will take it from this to this. And then you'll notice also I have some weird small filtering with resonance going on. So on the LFO, what you can do is choose a destination like the filter, for example. And then when you hear a bit of a frequency wobble going on, so that's already much more interesting. Then what I've done as well is you can go into the tape track, and I've just done a few bits and pieces, so you get a bit of a beat repeat effect and record that in there. So just by doing those few things, those really terrible samples that we had in here, they start to sound, you know, not amazing, but a bit more like they fit within the track. So what we can do now is we can use that same sampling technique, but if we go to one of these for synth tracks, let's say the lead, I've not really got anything going on, it's super easy to do the same thing. So we just hit stop and record, we enter sampler mode. We can record a new one if we want, but let's go with this very weird that I've done earlier, and let's give it a go. Maybe we can manually do some filtering even though we've already used our LFO. Lost a little bit of track of where we were and had to restart recording anyway, but once you get some percussive sampling and some lead sampling in, you can start to get those interesting layers. This whole jam has not taken very long to put together at all, but if you wanted an extra layer, what we can do is we can go back to that module that we had. I'm soon going to turn on the headset and I'm going to swap my audio off from my lav mic to the mic there. So what we can do is hold shift, turn on headset, and actually I should have some audio coming in from there. So the first thing that I would do, again, super basic, is go to the effects levels and add some delay and reverb. I can move it as well with the pan and everything, and I also have like a volume for gain. I'm going to turn them down. Right, just so you can understand me a little bit better, but basically what I'm going to do is the same thing when I'm just rushing through trying to experiment, add those effects, muck around with the LFO, and then add some parameters. One of the LFO shape that you have is the gyro, so I'm just going to show you how that can have a cool influence on what you're doing, because I did a tutorial on this page specifically when it came out, if you want to see that, but I didn't cover the gyro, so now I'm just going to have a quick jam, add some layers from our inbuilt samples, or rather internal samples that we made, and lay some really bad vocals over the top of that, and see how that comes in with the mixer and everything. So here we go. But basically that's what I was able to do in just a couple of minutes with the M1. If you have some better ideas, which I'm sure you do, then you'll be able to get them out really easily in the box without the need for a DAW, which is really convenient. Yeah, that's all I got to say. If you watched this far, I hope it was useful and not a waste of your time, but thanks for watching. I got some other stuff that might be useful if you're interested in the OPZ. Check it out, subscribe if you want. Have a good one.